Pocket's good for Rattler. Corner of the end zone. Touchdown. Held on that time.
New Orleans Saints fans and the NFL media is going absolutely wild over Spencer Rattler. Is this just more preseason hype, or does Spencer Rattler have a real path to be a starting quarterback in the NFL real soon? Part of the reason why Saints fans love this guy is because he looks like the Temu or the Wish version of Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes. That meme will never get old. And honestly, some Saints fans are still sour on quarterback Derek Carr due to their 9-8 season when they missed the playoffs last year, despite the fact that the Saints had horrible offensive line issues and an offensive coordinator who was eventually fired, plus locker room cancers like Michael Thomas, who before he made tweets ripping into Derek Carr and head coach Dennis Allen was yelling West Side Crip Gang at Panthers players while running away from them. Look, I'll admit that I'm biased and in favor of quarterback Derek Carr because I am from Fresno, California, where he played college football, and my favorite team is the Las Vegas Raiders, where he is the all-time leading passer in franchise history. But look, I also like Spencer Rattler coming out of the 2024 draft. And I also like Jake Haener, who played out of Fresno State as well and was drafted by the Saints in 2023 and currently competing with Rattler for the quarterback number 2 job. But that's the thing, Spencer Rattler is not even in conversation to be quarterback 1 at all. And I think he knows that. You can see him talk with Derek Carr on the sideline throughout games, and he has spoken highly of Carr as a mentor in that Saints quarterback room.
I think this is a awesome situation to be behind somebody like Derek. I mean, he's a great guy. Again, a great vet who's proven in this league. He's our biggest fan out there, which is why I love him. Great dude. He was in my ear all game, telling me what he saw, what type of situations we're in. So to have a guy like that in the room, is great. So he's awesome.
The current QB2 competition between Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener has been quite even so far, despite all the social media hype behind Rattler. I also think that most NFL and Saints fans are biased towards Rattler because he's simply more famous than quarterback Jake Haener. Haener played at a small school like Fresno State, where Rattler started his career at Oklahoma. If you ask your average college football fan who they know, most would be able to name Rattler over Haener. But Spencer Rattler's story is interesting because he did start at Oklahoma and was eventually replaced by Caleb Williams, who was recently the number 1 QB in the 2024 NFL Draft coming out of USC. Rattler dealt with adversity where Oklahoma fans chanted Caleb's name during the games when Rattler struggled.
The chant is, "We want Caleb," as in Caleb Williams, the backup quarterback.
After Rattler was essentially forced out of Oklahoma and then transferred to South Carolina, where he played the rest of his college career, the question has always been lurking in the background. Would he have been a top QB in the 2024 draft if he was never supplanted by Caleb Williams? Throughout preseason, Jake Haener and Spencer Rattler have looked dead even, with rumors emerging that Haener was actually leading the QB2 battle in practice. In the first 2 preseason games, Rattler did have a few nice scrambles where he was able to make some decent runs, but Haener had hands down the best pass of the first 2 preseason games, a 58-yard long bomber in that first game. But in this third and final preseason game, the scale has tipped in Rattler's favor. Some of this was out of Haener's control. The offensive line looked atrocious while he was in the game. He also dealt with significantly worse field position than Rattler, but Haener was still able to scramble and make some good throws on the run. He even had an amazing red zone touchdown while on the run, but it was called back due to a holding penalty. Both of these QBs dealt with wide receivers who continually dropped the ball in this third preseason game. You could see Rattler's frustration throughout the entire game. But it felt like Spencer Rattler stole the show. Not only did he display his scrambling ability, but he was able to make a perfect throw that was placed in a spot where only his receiver could get it for a touchdown. This was good for the young QB because his accuracy issues while in the pocket were critiqued coming into the NFL draft. Even in this game, we saw a few off-target throws that he needs to clean up. One of the biggest throws of his entire preseason came on an underthrown ball where he had time after a play action but the deep pass was still underthrown. It did not matter that the ball was underthrown because the Saints fans were absolutely hyped about their young rookie QB, who yes, still looks like the low budget version of Patrick Mahomes. Could that be his ceiling? But in all seriousness, unfortunately for Haener, Spencer Rattler had the only passing touchdown of the entire preseason. I have to mention this real quick, which is Puka Nacua's brother, Samson Nacua, having one of the greatest special teams plays I've seen in a while, where he almost returned a missed field goal for a touchdown. He ran the entire length of the football field and he almost scored, but was eventually pushed out as he reached the goal line. So Rattler was the headline of the night, but it's absolutely crazy how good of a QB room the Saints have. They were able to get Rattler this past draft with a 5th round pick, and a lot of people were thinking, wow, how did this guy fall to the 5th round if he really is going to be this dynamic? There are tons of teams that could have used this guy as a backup, and he was originally projected to be a 3rd round pick, the Saints. Even if Rattler only turns out to be a backup QB throughout his career, they still got a steal here regardless. But honestly, Spencer Rattler fell in the 2024 NFL draft for a reason. And I don't believe these stupid ass rumors that most GMs didn't want to touch the guy because he looked bad on a Netflix show while he was in high school. No, there were real concerns about his ability. You have the scouting report saying that he struggles to consistently process efficient reads and opportunities, and his eyes typically stay with the primary receiver. He was always meant to be a project quarterback, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing in this situation. But Jake Haener also showed some great ability as well. I think he's going to be in this league for a long time. Keep in mind, this guy won the Senior Bowl MVP award in 2023 before he entered the draft and was selected by the Saints for a 4th round pick, technically drafted at a higher spot than even Spencer Rattler. And they also have Derek Carr. Even though people like to slam this guy, he is a vet that has proven that he could play at a top 10 level, and he's also a good character guy and would be a great mentor for both of these quarterbacks. And despite the fact that things did not go amazing for the Saints last season, they were still just 1 game away from making the playoffs, and you have Derek Carr leading the NFL in several passing categories over the final 4 games of the regular season. Despite the fact that Saints fans want to write this guy off, I think he's going to prove a lot of people wrong this year, and the organization has shown that they are totally behind this guy. They recently restructured his contract, locking him in for this season and quite possibly next season as well. We're going to talk about that. And honestly, if some Saints fans want to move on from Carr, want to write this guy off, as a Raiders fan, I would gladly take this guy back as soon as we possibly can and have him reunite with Davante Adams again. And really, we've been hearing rumors that Davante Adams is not happy about the quarterback situation with the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Raiders have to make a decision on his contract by next year because it's going to be at a huge inflated number. Bringing Carr back could be a good move to keep Davante Adams happy with the Raiders, because he literally has said that is the main reason why he joined the Raiders in the first place, to play with Derek Carr. But unfortunately for Raiders fans like me, Derek Carr is totally locked in under contract for the Saints this season and a little bit for next season as well. There's no way he could be traded this year. The dead money cap hit would be like over $50 million. But next year, there is a small window where Carr could be traded and the Saints would only lose around $40 million in dead money. Plus, you know these NFL teams always find a way to manipulate the cap. Anything is truly possible. But I only see this happening next year if the Saints decide to totally rebuild. Let's just say certain older players like Cam Jordan or Demario Davis decide to retire at the end of the season. Then I could see them doing this, but honestly, it is still way too much money in terms of a dead cap hit, and I don't think the Saints could afford this. We know they always have to manipulate the cap every single year, and I truly believe this team is fully bought in on Derek Carr being their franchise quarterback. And I think some of the more smarter Saints fans are actually happy about this, and they're actually happy they have a quarterback like Derek Carr. And I think they feel lucky that they also have a great QB room with quarterbacks like Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener being able to sit behind this veteran for a couple years. You have Derek Carr, who has proven that he could play at a top 10 level and he can help you win the division right here, right now. And he's also a great mentor without a huge ego, and he's willing to teach guys. And you saw that on display in this past preseason game with him coaching up Spencer Rattler on the sidelines. And why would you want to rush Spencer Rattler or maybe Jake Jake Haener? Why would you want to rush them into a situation and have them start early? Haven't the examples of Jordan Love sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for a couple of years, or Patrick Mahomes sitting behind Alex Smith for a year, haven't both of these examples shown that you don't want to rush a young quarterback, and instead you want to make sure they play when they're ready after they have a couple NFL seasons under their belt? Anyways, I'm a little jealous of this quarterback room, and if the Saints move on from Jake Haener, I believe a team will definitely pick him up instantly, and he'll be part of a 53-man roster. Let me know your thoughts on this. Subscribe to me, Wi-Fi Willie, for more content. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.